Hi, I'm Daniel Lucas, and welcome to Sex 101. Sex 101 is created to empower our sexes and, of course, our relationships. And today I have my special guest. She's an author, spiritual seeker, cancer survivor, and guide to alternative healing wisdom. No other than Ms. VC Pitt.
Hi, Daniel. Thank you for having me.
Welcome, Miss VC on Sex 101, and let's talk about, well, interesting topic for today, people. We're gonna talk about sexual and healing through guilt. Right, Miss Carol?
Yes, unfortunately, a lot of people that are middle aged do have guilt surrounding the sexual experience. And I was one of those a few years ago.
So, Miss VC, how do cultural or religious expectation often fuel guilt and fear around sexuality?
Well, a lot of people don't believe that they can be a sexual being if they are religious. And for me, growing up, my mother didn't really even talk to me about sex until right before I was 17. That was a little too late, but um, so it's like it was very difficult to talk about at that time.
Yes, for sure. So, why do you think many people still feel hesitant to talk openly about sex and even more progressive times?
Well, I think that our raising, a lot of parents don't talk to their children about it, and then a lot of them even put fear surrounding the experience. They don't want children having sex, and unfortunately, that's what happens. And it's very important to talk to them from an early age. So I do believe that that is one of the biggest things that sets up a whole lifetime of trying to unlearn those behaviors, because sex can be very pleasurable and there shouldn't be guilt surrounding it.
Miss VC, can sexual shame manifest physical in the body? If so, how and how can they do that?
Well, from my personal experience, it was very difficult for me to have an orgasm. I was in my early to mid 20s before, well, I didn't even know women could have one until I was in my early 20s. So I was probably about 23 before I had an orgasm. And for me, it was, I couldn't relax enough to do that. So when you do have guilt wounding from childhood, that plays a part in this. And once I overcame that, just because I had one in my mid 20s, I didn't become fully relaxed about sex till I was closer to 50 after I divorced. And so it's something that if you don't work through, you are going to have trouble having orgasms, having full connection with the partner.
What impact does sexual shame have on intimacy in long-term relationship, Miss VC?
Well, for me, the shame, it's like I couldn't, I felt guilty even seeing myself sexually. And so when you've got that, it plays into having a true open relationship with a partner, which is unfair to the partner, but you don't know how to overcome that. So for me, that's what that is.
Can therapy or coaching play a vital role in healing sexual shame? And if so, what types of you recommend?
Well, for me, traditional therapy, I did do that for a while. It was nothing surrounding me as a sexual being. It took the right partner to allow me to be able to open myself up to fully embrace what could be. And once that happened, for me, every time that I have a partner, I try to connect like I did in that experience. So for me, I can't have a relationship without that full connection with the partner anymore.
What role does communication with partner play in healing journey, Miss BZ?
Well, for being able to speak what your desires are. So once you have that experience to where somebody is open and appreciates you as a sexual person, and I mean, I had to learn a lot through the experience because I couldn't see myself like that. There were blocks in my mind, and so a lot of people do therapy, which helps them get what they need to move forward. And for me, I've had casual relationships, and I was able to open up some, but it is truly a mental connection that I think helps women be able to overcome some of the shame from when they are younger.
Miss BZ, let's talk about the empowerment and confidence. How can referring pleasure as a positive and natural part of life help someone overcome guilt?
Well, for me, pleasure is so important. And if you can't have pleasure, it really takes away from that sexual experience. So, being able to talk about it, to talk about what turns a partner on versus not, that is a big part of this. And so people who have had sexual traumas, which I have not, I believe it takes more for them to overcome and have the pleasure of the experience and fully feel into the moment.
What are some empowering practices like mindfulness, journaling, or body positivity that you found effective in helping people reclaim confidence?
Well, for me, what worked for me was learning to be open to masturbation. And not all things work for everybody, but once I was able to give myself an orgasm, I became empowered through that. And a lot of women my age, we have personal vibrators, things like that. And that opens up your whole world. You've got to, I think, to a degree, be able to pleasure yourself so you can tell your partner what it is that turns you on. And that brings the bond between the two lovers even closer. And it is empowering because once I was able to do that and didn't need a man to be able to provide that, it quickened the orgasm, the intensity of it. And then as I entered into other relationships, it totally I became very confident in my abilities as a sexual person.
Miss Vici, how do we separate our authentic desires from the should and expectations imposed by society?
Well, you have to push them to the side. If you want a fulfilling sexual relationship, you cannot base your experience on what you're seeing through TV, what you're dictated as a child. Books, you can get help from books. A lot of women enjoy reading different erotica, that tends to help people too. So it's about embracing who you are, and and not feeling you have to be with a partner to take control, and you have to push what you've learned through all these years of programming to be able to enjoy the experience.
Miss Busy, can you share a story of transformation? Someone who overcomes sexual shame and discover joy in their intimate life.
Well, for me, I was 48 years old when I truly had that first experience. And he's older than me, and we had a very close relationship. And once I understood that I was very desired, and that connection was what it was, it opened me up fully to embrace my sexual prowess. And I truly, through that experience, I didn't worry anymore about things that I had worried about in the past. A lot of times, and this is just being fully honest, a lot of women struggle with smells that are involved. And when you have a partner that actually tells you that they enjoy things like that about you, that part that may have blocked somebody from the past experiences of being shut down to a degree, once that happens, it opens you up. You can carry out fantasies. You can just do a lot of things that you never saw yourself doing. For me, I embrace nature, meaning sex in nature, and just having more confidence in myself. And that was one thing he was attracted to me over, was the confidence that I had, that I never saw in myself until he brought it out in me.
Miss Busy, what do you wish more schools, families, or communities would teach about sexuality to prevent shame in the first place?
Well, I believe that there should be sexual education in schools, especially when it's in the middle school and high school years, because there's kids, they sneak around and do things that they may not understand the full consequences of when they are those ages. And so teaching and being able to have open discussion without shame. And unfortunately, kids, they do make fun of each other. And so, if they can have a counselor that can share some of this information in a non judgmental fashion, that will help more than anything.
Definitely, for sure. And Miss BC, how can partners, friends, or loved ones support someone who is healing from sexual shame?
Well, being able to discuss it and without judgment. And luckily, I've had many friends. We have very open relationships to be able to speak about sex. And sex is still very important to women that are in their mid 50s. And it's truly about being able to discuss with those friends and others uh, the sexual experiences. They may have been through the same things, and then once you see that they enjoy sex just like you, and through their sexual experiences, you kind of live through them sometimes too, and that helps take away some of the shame as well. Some people don't want to talk about sex. I find it very empowering, and it is a part of who I am. And I, at one time, I didn't care anything much about sex. And so, um, women in this age range, a lot of them, even after menopause, they still have deep desire. And so, there are challenges involved with menopause. And so that's something that is being talked about more and more in the news media. But being able to have open discussions with people, that is what I think needs to happen more. Some people, they are very closed lip about it, uh, and it basically is something that I think when people do clam up and not talk about it, I believe that they do have some shame wounding involved with that.
Ms. VC, in your opinion, what role does media representation play in reducing or reinforcing sexual shame?
Well, when you get the news media involved, social media, it's all from a person's perspective. And if they've been hurt or have wounding, that is going to be what you read about. But what I have found, there are some reels that I watch, and you can tell they are very open to discussing different woundings. You've got different attachment styles too. Somebody that's securely attached is going to be much more open and receptive than a dismissive avoidant. I myself have been anxiously attached, and that plays a part in things as well. So, media, I think if we can see more people discussing topics like masturbation, I think that that is something that would help others. But a lot of people just are not comfortable with that topic.
Yes, lots of people uncomfortable about sex indeed. So, Miss BC, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my Abstract Essay is already in fifth season, Abstract Poetry in second season, and my Book 101 review in fifth season too. Comedy 101 in second season, and my Food 101 in fifth season as well. Geography 101 in fourth season, and my baby podcast Law 101 and Mental Health 101. Love Letters in third season, and Movie 101 review and Music 101 in fourth season, and Science 101 and Sex 101 in its first season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Miss VC, finally, if we could leave listeners and viewers with one empowering message about reclaiming pleasure and confidence, what would it be?
Be open minded, share fantasies with each other, and carry them out. That is, if you can do that, it's going to open your world up.
Yes, indeed. So, Miss VC, tell us your two books, the true transformational spiritual memoirs of yours.
The first one is my twin flame journey of separation, surrender, and release. And my most recent is healing sacred wounds while reclaiming my power. And through these books, I talk about the sexual journey I've been on as well. A lot of people wouldn't be open to discussing, but I definitely do, because it is part of who I am.
Yes, indeed. And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. So,
Thank
Miss Vici, can you please invite our listeners to support your advocacy, your books, or whatever projects that you're doing right now?
Well, I do have a website, healingsacredwounds.com, and you can find me under VC Pitt on Facebook, and I'm doing beginning spirituality information on there. And then I do have an Instagram that I'm becoming more active with, which is VC Pitt One. So I hope that people are open to embracing their sexual prowess.
Yes, indeed. Yes, people, let's support Miss VC Pitt, because if you support her, for sure, more and more empowering books to come, more and more spiritual seeking to come. So, Miss VC, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Daniel. It's been a pleasure.
More to come, people. See you soon.